Providing your insight on both of those topics. We will, of course, continue to look at the ongoing tensions in the Indo-Pacific. But we move on now, and US President Donald Trump announced that representatives from Pakistan will visit the United States next week to discuss trade deals, including tariffs. Pakistan faces a possible 29% tariff on exports to the US due to a $3 billion trade surplus. Trump also expressed his unwillingness to make deals with Pakistan or India if the two countries engage in war, following recent clashes between the nuclear-armed neighbours after the Pahalgam terror attack. India, which faces 26% tariffs on exports to the US, is also in trade talks with Washington, with an interim agreement expected by early July. Trump mentioned that India is close to finalising a deal and recently hosted Indian Trade Minister Piyush Goyal to advance the negotiations. Staying with trade, US President Donald Trump announced an increase in tariffs on imported steel and aluminium from 25%, doubling to 50%. The president stated this measure aims to further protect the domestic steel industry and preserve American jobs. The tariff increase is set to take effect on June the 4th and has already resulted in a rise in steel manufacturers' stocks. In other developments, the US-China trade truce is under threat. According to the Wall Street Journal, China has been delaying the export of rare earth elements despite a previous agreement to resume shipments. US officials have accused China of non-compliance, raising concerns of a deterioration in trade relations. Also, President Trump indicated that Japan is interested in negotiating a trade agreement with the United States. Talks between the two nations are ongoing, with expectations of finalising an agreement soon. Staying with North America, the US Supreme Court has ruled in favour of the Trump administration's immigration policy, allowing the government to revoke temporary protections for hundreds of thousands of migrants. The decision affects an estimated 532,000 individuals from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua and Venezuela who entered the United States under a 2-year humanitarian parole program established by former President Joe Biden. The ruling represents a significant legal victory for US President Donald Trump. It is the second time the Supreme Court has backed his immigration initiatives, which have faced numerous legal challenges. The parole program had allowed up to 30,000 migrants per month to enter the US temporarily from the 4 countries, all of which have been criticised for human rights violations. Earlier this month, the court also cleared the way for the deportation of around 350,000 Venezuelans. The current case stems from a decision by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to end an 18-month extension of temporary protected status for the migrants. A 30-day notice had been issued for those impacted to depart the US unless they qualify for other legal protections.